By the way, guys, I have no idea what's going on, so this is going to be interesting, and I hope it comes out with some great formalities and some great material out of it. Okay, so explain to me what topic talk is.
Well, we're going to talk about a topic.
All right. Awesome. Can we get any more generic than that?
I think we can get a little better than that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
What kind of topics? I assume that since you're bringing this up, that you already have topics in mind.
I already have a topic in mind.
I really like the shirt, by the way.
Well, thank you. Would you like to explain what to the land what the shirt says?
The more you know the past, the better prepared you are for the future, and that would be Theodore Roosevelt. There was a time I actually remembered that whole speech, but it is a very good speech. Not as good as some speeches out there, but for Theodore to get a coherent speech like that, he was the first president, by the way, that did he really...
What did the radio?
Yeah, he really emphasized on that. And then his cousin, FDR, was blowing it up. Anyways, not to get off topic talk, but what is the topic that you'd like to speak about today?
Okay, so with history in mind, I want to bring up a conversation that we've talked about before about statues.
Oh.
Okay, so statues, monuments, remembrances, cenotaphs, headstones, markers, gravestones, plaques, tombs, shrines.
Jesus.
They are all the same topic.
Yeah.
I'm putting them all in the same box today. Are they important?
What about monographs? Stuff like that. I mean,
So it's already thrown in the box.
Okay.
All right. So are they important, and when does the right of the future be able to trump the right of the past? And what I'm referring to is, we have the cenotaph fight that's going on in San Antonio right now.
Right.
We have a lot of monuments and statues that are being torn down right now.
But that's nothing new.
Well,
I mean,
I know.
Look, the British Museum wouldn't exist if the British Army and their archaeologists didn't go out and just rob all the monuments and statues throughout Europe and the New World. So that's always existed. The only thing different is with them, they just took them to another place and put them in a building. Hitler did it. Hitler did it, and once again, he took
a lot
them
of our
and hid them.
statues today are being pulled down by government and hidden.
Well, that's a Stalin move, by the way. That's right out of his playbook.
But, I was thinking today...
Lenin didn't agree with it, but Stalin went full force.
I was thinking today, where is the dividing line between the fight of keeping the past versus the fight of creating a future? And what gets me into that...
Explains the shirt.
Yeah. Well, it gets me into that, or my thought is... All right, well, I've been doing some research on some cemeteries as of late. And the reason I'm researching these cemeteries is a lot of the headstones have been damaged and then just piled or taken or gotten rid of over the years. A lot of people, their markers are no longer existing. And one of the instances is like in Brazoria, right around 2000, when they were building that new bridge, there was a cemetery when they were widening the road.
Off the river road there. Yep.
Yeah, they dug up some of the old graves and moved them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, they're treating those with respect and all of that, but where is the dividing line? And I'm considering that road and the bridge and all of that is for the future, right? Mm-hmm. But does the past still have, do we have a responsibility for the past? And what does that responsibility look like? And where is the dividing line between respect and disrespect of that? I know this is a sticky topic, and we could go in piece by piece, but I'm throwing it all in of where our logic is on this stuff.
So, me being whom I am, it is a very tricky subject. For instance, our nice desk here. All right, this chunk of limestone here is part of one of our state's treasured monuments, but it had to be replaced,
right?
Because it was falling apart and deteriorating.
But even bringing this into play, this means something to me and you,
right?
But it may mean less to your children. And to your grandchildren, they may not even know what this stone means.
Right.
Is it wrong for them to get rid of it? Or was
I will. When you're watching this video, my future grandchildren, I will come and haunt your asses. Sorry.
But
I mean
so that goes along with the responsibility of your children teaching your grandchildren what this stone means. But where is the dividing line? Because if we keep holding on to crap, we're never going to expand into something new, right?
I don't agree with that. I mean, look at like Athens. Look at Athens. All right.
Okay.
So that's 125 BC. All right.
Right.
And nobody's tearing down Athens. No one's going and saying, hey, the Colosseum has to be tore down because Christians were thrown to the wild beast in it, or, slaves were used to fight each other to the death for entertainment purposes. No one's going to Bath in England that the Celtics were completely just overran by, I really have to fix this chair, overran by the Romans, but the Romans, they built these magnificent bathhouses and villas and stuff that are still there today, even through all that. Okay. But no one's taking them down. Look at the 16th chapel, or the 16th chapel. I mean, no one's saying, hey, let's go paint over Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece on the ceiling. Now, granted, I agree to a certain extent, like with the Alamo and the, how do you say it? The
cenotaph.
The cenotaph. All right? There's no... The Alamo is basically a museum. All right? A state-ran museum. And there's not enough tourism going to it. And so what they want to do is make it to where you can't just walk up on it. And it's just double-sided standards and stuff, but that thing sits over where Santa Anna had them dig the trenches and burn the bodies.
Okay, well...
So, to me, it's like, all right, I don't want to see the monument removed, but I understand where the state and the people that are running the Alamo are coming from. So they're not going to get rid of the sacred ground there. That's different than, say, the monument of Stephen F. Austin. All right, that's not sacred ground. That's where we decided to put that monument as a community. So there's a difference there. And in San Antonio, they're wanting to block it off so that they can get the funding through patriotism going into the Alamo complex then to keep the Alamo complex up and running. And that thing is in the way. And I kind of understand it, but I also can argue the fact that, where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Because technically, all the hotels, the Wax Museum, the Emily D. or the Emily Morgan building, those are all on the same ground. And so, where do you draw that line? And that is a question that's gone through hundreds of thousands of years. I mean, when the British Empire took over Egypt, they took pot shots at the Sphinx, which was covered up at its time to its neck in sand. They literally set up their cannons and shot the nose off the Sphinx. Do we have hatred towards the British for doing that and destroying a wonder of the ancient world? It's where do you draw the line? Like,
that's basically what I'm asking.
It's I don't think it's a set perimeter of where you draw the line. Okay, let's go to Gettysburg. All right, that's something on our grounds here in the United States that affected the whole continent, the whole country. So, nobody's talking about taking down Gettysburg or getting rid of the state park there. Yet they want to get rid of Mount Rushmore. And to me, Mount Rushmore is not a holy spot for Anglo-Americans, but it was a sacred spot for the Blackfeet Native Americans there. And so, I don't know where you draw that line, because you're going to either offend or disappoint somebody, or you're going to take history away one way or the other. We took history away from the Blackfoot when we put that monument there. But on the other hand, that monument was not only put there to represent at the time, 4 of the greatest leaders that our country had, but it was also a public works to get us out of the Depression. So it's kind of one of those things that you're not just destroying one historical monument at that point. You're taking away the livelihood and the memory of the hard times this country actually went through and how we built ourselves out of that. And, to me, it'd be the same as taking Hoover Dam down. All right, so you take Hoover Dam down. Hoover Dam was built as a public works thing. All right, so that's the same kind of monument as the Mount Rushmore. All right, but think of the consequences that would happen if Hoover Dam was destroyed. All right, Hoover Dam being destroyed, that means that Lake Mead would get emptied out immediately. That means that LA, San Diego, Las Vegas, all those places right there, I think even Phoenix gets all their electricity from the generators at Hoover Dam. So nobody in their right mind is going to go and say, we got to get rid of that.
Yeah, but okay, you mentioned Hoover Dam versus Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore, yeah, it was a public works project, but it doesn't even represent anything or any moment in time in particular, right?
It was just a public works. It got us out of the Great Depression.
Well,
it was one of the things that built up
yes.
that got us through the Great Depression.
Yeah, but where is it? Okay, so 4 graves were dug up with this bridge in Brazoria and moved. And yes, they were treated respectfully. There was a lot of information gleaned from these unknown graves. We don't know who they were. They had been there about 100 years. So is the right of that person and that person's family, is our rights as a community, does that trump the rights of these particular people? And then where is the line? And I'm not arguing for or against something that's already happened. Is it right?
No, it's not right. I don't believe it's right at all.
But where is the drawing line? Look at the catacombs in Paris. Was it right for the people of Paris to dig up the dead bodies around and create, and move the bones?
Well, that's completely different, because that was culturally standard for 1,000 years before that. and that's what you did. I mean, you can go to places in Spain and all around the Mediterranean areas, and yes, they'll let your body be buried for roughly 3 years or so, but then you need to take the bones back out of the grave and put it in your catacombs or in your sarcophagus and stuff like that. I mean, Jewish religion has been doing it since Moses came off the damn mountain.
Our custom is to bury somebody in a casket in a vault underground, but eventually, if you think mathematically, eventually there's going to be so much ground taken by so many
bodies
that we're going to have to do something with. Where does the rights of those bodies, because for instance, Angleton Cemetery, a small town in the middle of the United States, in just one small town, that cemetery has logged about 5,000 interned bodies at this point. And I'm getting that number from Find a Grave. So there's probably a lot more that hasn't been logged in Find a Grave yet. So that's just one cemetery in one little community.
I don't think that there's not a right or wrong answer. There's not a definite line that can be drawn in the sand. There's not, to me, I mean, that's.
Well, where does our responsibility end for protecting our history?
On one hand, we sound like a bunch of hoarders.
Right.
And on the other hand, we're trying to say that, history trumps future. So.
Well, if we don't protect history, there's not going to be a future. But if we don't let some of the history go, there's not going to be a future.
It won't. There'll always be a future. It might not be the future that you and I have planned in our heads that the future will be, but tomorrow will always come. I mean, there's not, we're just another species on this planet. So the planet is always going to continue. Unless we completely exploded or something, which is not out of the realm of possibilities.
We have the technology and the stupidity to do it.
But I mean, this debate, this argument, it can get ridiculous. It can get,
it's just to bring to mind of, okay, history is, or what we consider history is what we hold important. But just because we hold it important in this generation doesn't mean that future generations or even past generations held it important.
I can tell you right now,
like you mentioned Athens and all that. Those are ruins, and why those are ruins is because somebody didn't hold them important enough to keep the buildings standing. They went poof with the buildings.
Civilization evolves and adapts and moves on.
So we will cut it here. Let us know in the comment section what you think about this topic, and let us know if Topic Talks is something that you would like for us to continue.
And maybe next time I'll do it to her and not me. But from Bill and Red's History Productions, my name's Bill, and this is...
I'm Red.
And we'll see y'all next time, and thank y'all again for all the comments, the thumbs ups, the thumbs downs. Let us know.
Bye.